Afternoon, councillors and council staff. Thank you for being here today. We'll start with the acknowledgement of country. Snorri Valleys Council proudly acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of this land and water and pay respects to their elders past and present. This meeting is live streamed on council website to allow the community to follow council debates and decisions. Members of the public participating in a meeting agree to have their image, voice and personal information, including name and address, recorded and publicly broadcast. Snorri Valleys Council does not accept liability for any defamatory remarks or inappropriate comments that made during the course of the meeting. Any part of the meeting that is held in closed session will not be streamed. Councillors are reminded of the oath or affirmation of office they made under section 233A of the Local Government Act 1993 and the obligation of the council's code of conduct to disclose and appropriately manage conflicts of interest. Please ensure that your mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or on silent mode for the duration of the meeting, and no recording of voice or images is permitted by mobile phones or other electronic devices while in the room. In the event of an emergency at a council meeting, please evacuate the building using the nearest exit and follow the instructions given by the warden. Please do not use the lift. If participating in the meeting from an alternate venue, please enact the evacuation plan for that location if required. At this stage, we don't have anybody joining virtually. We will go first to apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Inglis that I would like to move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Thompson. All those in favour? You. Now, declarations of pecuniary interest. We have 4 declarations of pecuniary interest. Councillor David Sheldon declared a pecuniary interest in relation to report item 9.2, notion of motion short-term rental accommodation, changing to rating category due to owning an STI and paying business rates and will remain in the room. Myself, Councillor Julia Han, declared a non-pecuniary, non-significant interest in the fact that I run an Airbnb and will remain in the room during the discussion. Councillor Hugh Packard declared a non-significant, non-pecuniary interest in relation to report 9.2, short-term rental accommodation, due to owning holiday accommodation and will remain...
brother-in-law owning.
Due to a brother-in-law owning holiday accommodation and will remain during the discussion. And then we have one more from Councillor Larter. And Councillor Larter has declared a non-significant, non-pecuniary interest in relation to report 12.2 due to aircraft ownership and providing an aircraft for display and will remain in the meeting during discussion and will participate in the voting. Thank you, everyone. Now we have confirmations of the minutes. We've got 2 sets of minutes there. Minutes from the ordinary council meeting right back on the 11th of December. Do I have someone who's read and happy to move those minutes? Councillor Sheldon, seconded by Councillor Larter. All those in favour? Unanimous. And then the extraordinary meeting on the 10th of February. Do I have someone who read those minutes? Councillor Hardwick, seconded by Councillor Sheldon. All those in favour? Councillor Hayes? Yep, unanimous. Thank you. We have no correspondence or petitions. We do have a number of mayoral minutes. Thank you, everyone. But before we start on that, I'd like to congratulate our General Manager, Jess Footy, on your position as General Manager. Very pleased about that, and I think the whole community send on their congratulations. And sorry to put this on you, Councillor Hayes, there should be 2 congratulations on ex-TUMIT students who have received Australia Day honours.
Yes, I can let the community know that Michelle Henrick, or Michelle Boonergy, as she is now, the former Secretary of Education for New South Wales and later on for the Commonwealth, was given an Order of Australia, one of the big ones, an AC.
An AC, I think, yeah.
AC, which is fantastic. She's given a whole career to education and was at TUMIT High School in 1974 and 75, people will remember. And also Heather Reid AM, who was the captain of Tumut High School in 1973. She was named as the ACT Senior Citizen of the Year and went up against the other states for the
Australian of the Year.
the Australian of the Year.
Wow.
So she is. So congratulations to both of those very worthwhile women and
Yeah, I think as a
Notable-
council, we should
notable-
write them a letter and just say,
notable
"Look,
alumni."
fantastic.
Can I
Yeah.
just say, Heather actually was from Talbingo. She was one of
Okay.
the families that was up there and travelled 200 buses down to Tumut each day. So she's actually from Talbingo. Incredibly proud of her achievement.
Yeah, I think 3 very good news stories about females really achieving great things.
Yeah.
Merrill minutes. Thank you to Vizzy and the Pratt Foundation for their contributions. In case people didn't realise, they have given $50,000 in support of council's FOGO program. So we've written and said thank you. Councillor Shelton.
Madam Mayor, I noticed that and I read that with great interest, but I thought it was an ideal opportune time to ask the question. Some years ago, the Pratt, I think, Community Foundation offered the council, the community, $1 million. And I'm just
$1,000 over 10 years.
$1 million over 10 years. I'm just wondering, has that been progressed or where we are with it?
Sorry, that they give 100,000 every year. Yeah,
Well, $1 million over 10 years.
over 10 years. I think probably the polite thing to do would be to go back to the Pratt Foundation and just find out what their legacy
it's up
program
to,
is.
it's
at
up
the
to
moment.
them
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
announce it.
yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, and I think today I was lucky enough to go and see the CUC over the road and how well that's progressing. I know they've given 200,000 towards that, and so they.
It may be that they've given something of that order
That's right.
over the last 10 years.
That wasn't the intent of the announcement made at the opening of stage 2. It was specifically that they would be giving $100,000 a year over 10 years. And it had nothing to do with the bushfires or the CUC or things like that. It was, anyway, it's probably worth asking.
We'll clarify that. So I'm happy to move that. All those in favour?
We move them all at once.
Yeah, logo. Yes. Okay. The next mayoral minute is about a request for a delegation to the Valuer General of the southern area of the Snowy Valleys Council land and rating inquiry. Now, I think councillors realise that this has been going on for a long, long time. Councillor Hayes?
Why just the southern area?
Because we've had no requests from the northern area and the southern areas that still think that their land is being valued higher than the northern area, and the northern area are being very quiet.
So no one's done an investigation.
Yeah, there's been a lot of investigation
No,
by the southern end. It's a delegation. People from the northern end are happy to go.
I just don't think you should exclude people.
Oh, absolutely. Whoever wants to go, more than welcome. And they need to investigate. They're saying that if you have one farm here and one farm there, and this farm gets sold and is put in pines, that their rates drop by 80%. They want to know why.
Probably because it's unaffordable to plant pine when you're competing against.
No, it's
state
based on
forests.
unimproved capital value.
Yeah.
there should, what's happening on the land shouldn't make any difference to the,
Or what's on the land.
yeah.
Well, in that case, wouldn't you have to charge state forest rates as well? Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair.
So different. We have to remember that state forests, maintain the road structure as well. So there's a bit of a trade-off there.
So how do we find a fair middle ground?
We go and talk to the Valuer General. And Councillor Hayes, would you like the land valuations of the Snowy Valleys and take out the southern part of that motion?
I just think it's probably,
Yep, no,
it's not going to offend anyone, I don't.
no, good point. So if that could be removed, Jeannie? Councillor
Just a
Michelle.
question, well, I think it's a great idea, don't get me wrong, but do we have a report that we can read up on it, or is it just what's here?
At this stage, it's just here, but
There were some emails.
yeah, there were emails around it, but yeah, good. We can do that. The biggest problem about it is that all this has to be done by the 12th of March because that's when submissions shut. So there's an urgency there, and that's why we've asked Justin Clancy. And I think in that we were wrong. The Minister for Planning, if we could change that as well, it's actually Steve Camper.
And what about the Minister for Agriculture? Sorry, councillor.
That's
Councillor.
okay. If we're changing it from just the southern area, I can see why we'd be asking Justin Clancy MP to
Minister
organise the meeting, but I think out of courtesy, we should also advise our local member for the northern end in Dr. Joe
Dr.
McGurk,
Coe. Yep.
if that can be included.
Minister for Lands.
Lands and Planning.
Because it's actually interesting, it's not happening in the northern part, but it is happening in the southern part. It makes it even richer.
Councillor Sheldon?
You mentioned the ministers, but what about the Minister for Agriculture? The female I met her yesterday, surely she'd be interested.
Yes.
Tara-
Tara.
Yes, Minister Tara Mariani.
Yeah.
Minister.
Justin Clancy actually went and saw Paul Scully, and the person who works with the Valuer General is Minister Steve Camper.
Oh.
Yep. Sorry, Councillor Packer.
No, I was just going to say, it's really very interesting to actually have both ends of the Shire in, because if, for instance, exactly the same situation is happening in the northern and they're all rated the same, but down south, then it does sort of really highlight the
Inequity.
the oddity of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was because they'd sold a portion of land or somebody had paid a phenomenal amount of money for,
Down at Greig
yeah.
during
Yeah.
COVID, and the Valuer General jumped in the car and actually drove down and saw the land. Have a look at it. And they've come and spoken to us a number of times, but this time these are landowners going, we want to meet with the Valuer General, and very happy to go to Sydney to do so.
Madam Mayor, just a point of clarification. Did you want to include the Minister for Agriculture as well?
No.
No.
No, but what we'd like to do, Jeannie, if it's okay, if we were writing to the member for Albury and the member for Wagga, Dr. Joe McGurk, in point 2.
What's the sting in the tail of this is that if the rates go up by 80%, then the land is probably not profitable for
Fine,
clients.
yes. So, yeah,
And then you don't want the industry to collapse either.
I have talked to the Softwoods Working Group about it, but they did agree that things should be equitable across the whole council area. So I'm happy to move that. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, Jenny. The next mayoral minute, it's been quite a while since the 14th of December, but I don't think any of us will forget the Bondi Beach terrorist attack. And we've written a letter to Councillor Will Nemish and the Waverley Council to convey our condolences and offer any practical support we can. And a thank you to the Community Foundation who did take for their time organising a vigil and the condolences books, which were in the Snorri Valleys Council Library at Chip and Tamarumba, which were signed. I'm happy to move that. All those in favour? Unanimous. And then councillors, during the break, there was the Walwa bushfire, and I thought it'd be interesting to see what other people thought, but I thought it was quite interesting being a community that was so badly burnt 6 years ago to see the reaction of our community with the fire so close to us. And personally, I thought it was pretty outstanding the way people stood up, were ready to be prepared for fire. I felt that there was a lot more calmness with people in their preparedness, and just want to acknowledge the council staff, the volunteers, the emergency services, and all the support agencies that came. And I went down and saw the strike teams down at Gingelic, the Gingelic Hub. They were outstanding, immediately went into action. It was a good example of some of the bushfire money going into the Gingelic Hub because they were able to turn on straight away the hub, and they had strike teams coming to visit. I'd like to thank the Batlow and Tumbarumba communities for their support with evacuees. And I'd like to thank the people that were very diplomatic when people started donating things and sort of like said, thank you for your donations, but we won't over donate if possible. And I'm just looking to Councillor Hardwick and noting that Cancoban was in a pretty tricky situation. And something I'd never realised about Cancoban is when the fire's coming from Victoria, Cancoban to evacuate has to drive 12 kilometres to the fire before they can turn to go away. So that's why Cancoban has to evacuate earlier than most.
Madam Mayor, just in relation to the fires, it was actually an issue that was raised at the Buck meeting in Batlow on Sunday. And I think it was the Reconstruction Australia actually held a couple of sessions, but the people raised their concerns that the location was probably inappropriate, being in that it was held at Pippin's Cafe and they felt it wasn't really where they wanted to go. And the other thing is it was done during business hours to suit staff, which is not possibly the time that was most needed by people who wanted to access it because they were busy working. So while they understood that there was something off it, maybe the Reconstruction Australia could reconsider how they those levels of support in the future.
I was part of the discussion about Pippins, and as Pippins was part of the bushfire recovery money that was used.
I just felt it was very open. So if they needed to, they didn't feel comfortable.
We'll pass that feedback on. Thank you. Victorian Emergency Services, how did you find them? You were the limo there for a little while?
There was good communication, yeah. Plenty of good communication between all the agencies involved.
There was some feedback about cross-border concerns. Councillor Hayes?
Not so much about cross-border concerns, but after the last fires, we were very lucky to get a lot of fodder donated to this area. And it was good to see the reciprocation with all the trucks going from the Adelong area and around down to there. And I think probably should also acknowledge the donation of fodder and transport.
I think that's a really good idea.
Excuse me, what was that last?
We just want to probably add a
Name?
point
Fodder and transport.
8 to acknowledge the donations of fodder
And transportation.
and transportation from the Snorri Valleys community. FOWE. Councillor Latta.
I noticed there that we've got, well, the cross-border situation which you mentioned, and also advocate for the Softwood Working Group again. Well, I noticed that the Softwood Working Group had a discussion with the federal local member Michael McCormack during the week, and that was advertised on Facebook. But I still can't get my head around the fact that 7 helicopters sat on the ground in Tumut whilst these fires were happening, and this continues to happen every time there's a fire. There's a fire in Gundagai last week. The helicopters sat on the ground in Tumut again, and we could have had devastation down at the Dog on the Tucker box. The fire was out of control. Could have impacted the highway. Could have been absolutely devastating. And once again, the RFS, I don't know what's going on. Somebody's asleep at the wheel again because the helicopter's sitting out there. Nobody's tasking. So this cross-border thing's a real issue. That's a real stuff up as well. That needs to be aired at the highest levels because people are going to die. People are going to lose property, and the insurance companies must be absolutely livid about what's going on. That here we are, we've got this state forest, which is the economic driver of this community, and the Softwoods Working Group doesn't seem too concerned about making sure these helicopters are tasked to prevent the fire from escaping. I don't know what they're advocating for, but
Councillor Latta, I found out something today that you're quite correct in the fact that the determination of the helicopters is at this stage determined in Sydney. which is part of the problems. And so they're beginning to lobby to make it locally self-determination. So if you can just bear with it, that is what's going to try and happen, because your problem has been seen and people are trying to work to make it. You can imagine the time and the paperwork if you've got to go, if it's going to Sydney, which helicopter, whatever. Whereas if we can do it locally, it will be a lot more efficient.
Wasn't that one of the findings of the
Time
last fight?
takes time, Councillor Hayes. Yes, and yeah, but so Councillor Larder, people are agreeing with you. Councillor
Can I
Jordan.
just agree with Councillor Larder and back him up on this, because in yesterday at Regents Rising, there is this disconnect between the local area and the state government. And that was highlighted very much yesterday, or departmentals and the local council. It was highlighted and it really has to be looked into. So that disconnect, there is a plan, and a strategic plan, and there's communications, because it's not just here, it's all over New South Wales that this is occurring, and not just in RFS, on a lot of projects.
Yes. Thank you. But I think it is important, as John said, one of our economic drivers in the region is our softwoods, our forestry, and the fires in Victoria took out a lot of potential wood that we needed to supply our mills. So for this reason, yes, they are meeting with Michael McCormack. They're meeting with whichever ministers they can to help with funding for that shortfall that's going to be. Councillor Wirtz.
Yeah, just a question regarding Councillor Larder's statement. Who is the determining body who tasked these helicopters to fight the fires? Is it the RFS in Sydney, or is it?
It's the RFS.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yeah, so that's what and they're working with it as well. They can see the shortfall there. And finally, there's thank yous to write to everyone, even to the fact that Holbrook Rotary provided meals, went to Geneva, which I thought was pretty outstanding. Yeah, right. It was the end of it. So acknowledge the donation of transport and fodder from the, so I'm happy to move that. All those in favour? Thank you. Okay. And finally, in the efforts of time, I will let people read that, but seriously, our community has been stepping up over Christmas and the new year. February just seems to be just so busy with events. Thank you very much to all the volunteers and community members that just volunteer time and time again to make the whole of Snorri Valleys a wonderful place for people to visit in the summer. So, congratulate. Have I missed anyone there that anyone can think of? I'd like to move that. All those in favour? Thank you. And moving on to notion of motion, request immediate cessation of wind turbines, motion by Councillor Larder. Do I have a mover? Councillor Larder, seconded by? Councillor Hayes? Councillor Larder?
Well, look, essentially all I'm seeking here is some intervention from the state government to get this stuff sorted out once and for all, because unfortunately the drivers of this in local communities is not us, it's the state government. And the situation has arisen where once these things are essentially put on the books, they are state government significant projects, and we don't have any say in whether they're acceptable for our communities. And I think that's absolutely outrageous, given what is planned here. We've seen the upheaval from the transmission lines. Well, this will be worse. The impact of these wind turbines on the horizon of this beautiful area will have a negative impact, not only on the amenity and the tourism and the social aspects of this great region, but it will go on to be an ecological nightmare when you consider the effects that these wind turbines have on land and communities and wildlife. Eagles, the risk of fire, especially when you're planting them in what we've just been discussing. This area is the driver of the economy here, and we're just going to allow these wind turbines, which have a propensity to start fires, when they break down, to be in the middle of the economic driver for this region. It just beggars belief. These things are aviation hazards, and we've got two existing towers at the moment that are very difficult to see. They're very high. They're not on aviation maps. They've got very limited lighting on them. I've spoken to a couple of pilots already that have almost run into them, especially during firefighting activities, because the visibility is usually poor. And these things are just perched up on the top of the hill in a very difficult to see position. So I just think we need to get the genie back in the bottle here, and just decide whether as a community these are the way forward. I personally don't think they are, but I think the community should have the opportunity to make those decisions, and I don't think that the consultation has been adequate. And this, to me, in getting the state government to recognise that and allowing us to make our own determinations about whether these are suitable or not for our area, should be put back to us. That's essentially where I stand on it. I'm certainly not in favour of them, and I think the public should be better informed. They've got very bad record of what happens to them after they're finished with them. From an ecological point of view, there's a lot of resources go into them that aren't green, and now we're hearing stories about the asbestos that's going out into the area once these things start to have mechanical failures. And I don't know how they've even been allowed to come into the country with asbestos in them, but anyway, that's what's happened. So we certainly need to make sure that we're on top of all this stuff, and this is one way that we can do it.
Thanks, councillor Latta. Someone against?
I would like to
Councillor
talk
Sheldon?
to some clarification. I know Councillor Latta has been very hesitant, very concerned about wind turbines for quite some time. I do note, though, and this is where I'm a bit between a rock and a hard place. The group out there have been in front of council since 2000, first came to council since 2020. They have had a couple of workshops presenting everything to council. They've also opened a store down in Fitzroy Street. And from what I understand, and I take on board exactly again, Councillor, they are taking on board about public consultation. Now, whilst it's quite detailed what Councillor Latta is saying, have we missed the boat? As I said last year after returning from Regions Rising, the Mayor from Glen Innes said, these state significant projects happen and councils are the last ones to know about it before they can really get on board. So it concerns me, have we missed the boat here? I think these people, we couldn't have asked much more from these people compared to a lot of other ones. Councillor Director Mitchell foreshadowed this problem 15 months ago. And he said it's going to get worse when all the transmission lines come on. And I don't think people paid a real great attention to that, because that's what was highlighted in my memory, all the Transgrid ones and all the wind turbines. What's it going to do to the aesthetics of this region? But then again, you look around and I notice
So what's your clarification?
just, have we missed the boat?
And I might direct the General Manager to speak to that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Sheldon, just for clarification, my understanding is that the project that's in our LGA, which is the Bondo Wind Farm, is still in its infancy. So they've done some early consultation with the community. They've also set up some wind studies to see if the project will even be viable. At this stage, a development application has not been lodged with the state government. So once that process is to occur, that's when community consultation will be undertaken in accordance with the DA. So council will have an opportunity to provide its feedback, and also members of the community will have an opportunity to provide feedback. Pretty much what Councillor Larder has raised, that can be part of that process as well. So council's not the authority to determine that DA, it will be the state government.
Councillor Hayes.
You guys.
I'm a great believer in renewable energy, but it's got to be in the right place. And I also think that the community shouldn't be adversely affected. Now, we are adversely affected by the renewable energy because we've got these arteries of ions going through our beautiful area. The towers are starting to go up. People are getting anxious. And when those towers go up, that artery or that conduit is open for tapping into for electricity in the ground. So we're in a situation where we're probably going to get these developments. And I think we should be very active in going to the government and saying, look, we've seen a lot of these things come to our area, development. And what we want is we want a fair social license. And if something comes along and says it's going to be $2 billion, and they say, well, we'll give so much in social license, and then it blows out to $12 billion, it's got to be a percentage. It's got to be 1% or something like that. It's just got to be. And that way, if it blows out, well, that's good for us. But, you know, to see how much of a pittance this community is getting out of Transgrid, sure, it's great if you're getting a bit, but not everybody is. But everybody's going to be stuck with the blot on the landscape. And the people whose land it goes through only get payment for 20 years, not full life of the project. That's terrible. So I think we need to be at the state government, at the local members saying, we want a fair piece of the action, not just for us, but for other communities all across Australia. We should be leading this.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how we put that within the motion. Okay, Councillor Packard?
Yes,
Meryl Minute.
I guess I'm technically speaking against the motion, but agreeing with what Councillor Hayes says, but adding another element. If we're not in the tent, we don't get to be heard. So what we should be urging, these are state significant developments which are going to be determined and talked about and decided. The closer we can be to that decision-making process and have a formal seat at the table, the more chance we've got of getting the tweaks and the adjustments to make it so that it does benefit our community rather than just having it brought and put on us. If we take a naysayer's approach and say we're not going to even talk to you about it because we don't want it to happen, then the chance of us affecting it are minimised. So I'm against the motion, but in favour of the concept of making sure we get a commitment to be heard.
So we've had a couple of letters about this, and I think it's to the Director of Community, Corporate and Development that other councils have put in a SEARS application, and their point was that Snowy Valleys Council hadn't. My understanding, because I know I was in the room when we actually talked through a lot of these things, is that because we did it verbally?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So the Planning Secretary environmental assessment requirements, that's the SEARS. So essentially how that process works is that the state government writes to government agencies and also writes to council to find out what our requirements are for the potential DA that's going to be submitted. So as part of that EIS that has to be prepared, they go out to the government agencies and they ask them exactly what their requirements are. Now, we saw a copy of that draft before it was finalised, and the majority of the things that have been caught up in that from government agencies have already been covered. So it's like, well, again, we're going to be writing a letter reaffirming what's already been said. So that's why we didn't end up submitting something.
Which was part of the reason why, is because we've spent so much time talking with them about
Correct,
this area. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the funding for projects such as Transgrid and HumeLink is different to the funding and the social benefit for things such as wind farms. One is the transmission and one is actually the production. So there's far more stringent funding requirements on wind farms. I too have received the letters from people concerned about the introduction of the wind farms. However, I've also had representation from people who live out in the area who don't oppose the wind farms, but who are very adamantly opposed to the lack of community benefit that is coming to our region because of these projects. And so these are people who are directly impacted by it. We also need to, and we have, I think we've had something like, and I know that for the new councillors it's different, but I think we've had something like 5 opportunities as a council to engage with NEON, who came in and have explained it all, gone through it all, explained where it's going, explained the agreements with forestry. And it's very difficult now to turn around and say, well, thank you very much, and we've gone along with you, but now we don't support the initiative. I agree, we desperately need to make sure that we get the community benefit that we deserve. And that's one of the strongest things with this actual one, is that there are other wind farms across New South Wales that have already identified how much money they're giving to the communities. At this point, we don't have that, and we don't even have a guarantee that it will be coming to this council, because it has to be shared across a number of LGAs. So they're the concerns that I have, but I can't support just suspending the whole outcome of it at this point.
Councillor Worth.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a few concerns. I'm not against the motion, but I think the focus really needs to be on the delivery of this project, because it is a state significant project. We have very little say over whether it goes ahead or not. But I think we need to talk with NEON directly, because I've had a lot of local people write in and say that they're concerned mainly with the layout. They're not opposed to the green energy, but where these towers are going to be situated. Some say that the closest ones are only going to be 15 k's away from Tumut and completely visible from, the lookout. You'll be able to see these towers. Now, Tumut's a very beautiful place, and we've already had all these transmission lines coming through with HumeLink east, coming straight through the Tumut Shire. We've got to really protect our tourism sector, and one of the main draw cards for tourism is the fact that we have a beautiful area. And if people come here and they see, 80-metre high transmission lines coming through and 300-metre high wind turbines, they're going to consider it as
And no amount of money will change that.
No, and we've got to really think about that before we simply just put these towers in. Now, they are going to be in the state forest, within the pine plantations as well. There's issues with bushfire, fighting fires. How are we going to fight fires in the pine forest if there's a 300-metre tower you've got to navigate around? There's issues there that need to be resolved with that's consulting with the RFS and the relevant bodies in the Softwoods Working Group. So we really need to have a committee, I suppose, or some form of round table with all the relevant parties, and that starts with talking with NEON and actually liaising with them in regards to these concerns that people in the community are having. So,
would you mind if I just referred to the General Manager about what sort of consultation we are having?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So there's sort of two parts to what Councillor Thompson said, and then obviously to respond to Councillor Works. My suggestion would be, once the proposal is at the DA stage, it will be a good opportunity to see exactly where the wind turbines are going, who they're impacting, to see it's in its completed stage before council makes a submission. And then obviously that will be opened up to the community as well. As I said, at this stage has only been early consultation. So it would be good to see that project in its final form before council makes a submission.
I'm just reading on the Bondo Wind Farm website that there's a preliminary turbine layout for Bondo Wind Farm has been released. So can we reply to that in terms of a council reply, or is that something we have to wait till it's finalised?
Usually council would wait till it's finalised before we would make a formal submission. So it's registered with the state and then they have to respond accordingly as well. As I said, we have met with NEON 5 times during sort of workshops. But I'm sort of happy to reach out to them again and sort of talk to council about.
It's not just council, it's the community, people involved who are concerned with how the layout's going to affect their.
I think that's why they've got the shop in Fitzroy
Yeah,
Street.
so the,
And clarification also, I think the last time that they did do a presentation, they showed us where those towers would be in our shire, as well as the weather mast. So they have produced that for us already. I do know they've started, well, I got a letter from them saying that they're starting to roll out the public consultations. I think the first one's in March down at Wee Jasper, and they've got the store there. But Madam Mayor, I think also in clarification, I think Mr. Wilton has actually been dealing with them on the legacy funds already, and has started preliminary talks, and he's brought back the council already once. Is that?
through you, Madam Mayor, that's what I was going to respond to Councillor Thompson's point about community benefits. So there are some guidelines issued by the New South Wales State Government about what community sort of benefit has to go to nearby residents and what benefit also has to come to council. Council's already been in early discussions with NEON about the council part of those community benefits. So we're still finalising that. And that'll ultimately come back to council for determination.
It's like closing the argument if you want.
He's got to close. It's more of a statement. Look, I think this is just a bit of preemptive saber rattling, just to get a bit of attention, get people in the tent. It's not enough. Like having Nick just talk to them about legacy is probably not good enough. We need to be talking to the ministers, and we need to be working through country mayors and with the other mayors that are affected with this, because just individual councils, you're all going to get knocked over. You need to be.
And Councillor Hayes, I think you're absolutely correct. And maybe if we could have a report to the next council about what is being happening in the advocacy within the whole state, through country mayors, through CRJO, through, so that people are aware of, there's a lot of advocacy.
And other experiences, the Thunderbolt one, all those sorts of just.
Yeah. Yes.
Further clarification, please, Madam Mayor.
Okay, last one and then we're closing.
Does this fit in with Councillor Larder's motion?
Does what fit in?
Or what Councillor Larder's putting forward?
He wants to suspend planning.
No, it doesn't. So we're actually off topic. Councillor Larder,
That's right.
you close the argument. Sorry, Councillor.
Well, it was something anyway, so.
Are you?
Well, look, ultimately, I just think we need to be settling this now before, as the General Manager has indicated, this is preliminary. I think we've got a real opportunity here to make our own decisions as a community and as a council. And I don't know what you guys think, but I'm just sick to death of the state government telling us what we can and can't do in our backyard. I mean, it's up to us. I mean, why wouldn't you have a referendum locally on this when you have this is a big issue. This should be put to the community, not some bureaucrat who's been fed a whole heap of dodgy numbers by a company that wants to infiltrate all this infrastructure for their own benefit. I mean, the numbers we know aren't right. I mean, the federal member for this area, Michael McCormack, is against this project. Now, we should be engaging with him and say, Mr. McCormack, why are you of the understanding that this is not a good fit for our region? These are the questions we should be asking. We shouldn't just be giving these people a green light to go ahead, because I understand that they're not green. These projects are not green. They look good on paper and they look good for bureaucrats and governments, but at the end of the day, they're heavily subsidised and underwritten by governments to make them look as though they're very efficient, they're doing all this good stuff, but it's all BS. It's all BS and we know it. I mean, it would be more beneficial to throw money into coal-fired power stations and make them more efficient than blight the community's infrastructure and landscape with these menaces. They are completely wasteful. And, you know, I can't understand why we just don't want to engage in our own backyard with our own communities and say, do you want this? That's as simple as it is. I mean, I might be outnumbered. I don't know. The majority of people in this southern area might say, yep, we're happy for it. But I, for one, aren't. And I think I speak for a lot of people in saying that they don't want this stuff here. They're not interested in it being here. Go and put it in the middle of Australia, where it's not going to cause any issue if you think it's such a great project. I mean, I'm sick to death of driving down the Hume Highway and seeing prime farmland covered with solar panels. I mean, we are just going absolutely mad in this country with this sort of garbage. And it's about time somebody just said, no, enough is enough. We need to take back this country and start making our own decisions and not just settle for this, oh, we're going to make it green and it's all going to be great, because I tell you, the side effects of this stuff are horrific. This is a cancer on our landscape.
Thank you, councillor Larder. That was closing the argument. All those in favour?
Just had a question.
We're closed. All those in favour, we've got councillor Hayes, we've got councillor Larder. All those against? Councillor Thompson, councillor Packard, councillor Hardwick, councillor Wirtz, councillor Sheldon.
Can't put abstain, can you?
No,
I was going to draft
No.
an amendment.
You can.
but you'll be counted as a no.
I prefer to be recorded as an abstain.
Okay,
Madam-
9.2.
Hey, Madam Mayor, can I just, we have a report coming up later on in relation to the National General Assembly. Is it not an appropriate thing to put a motion to the National General Assembly that actually identifies not just about this particular issue, about the impact of federal and state significant projects that impact on local government? So I feel that this
We
is
can-
something.
we can move that
I
on.
wanted to get a clarification. I know the motion's moved, but I did have a question about,
No, guys, if we keep doing this, we'll be going all day.
yeah, well, there was obviously a,
Councillor Wirtz, we're going on to 9.2. Notion of motion, short-term rental accommodation, change to rating category. Councillor David Sheldon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, it's pretty clear. Although I am a short-term accommodation, I know I'm in that.
You've got to
sector, I
move it.
pay business
We
rates.
need a seconder. A seconder?
I'll second it for the purpose of discussion.
Councillor Packard, Sheldon, councillor Packard, councillor Sheldon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The landscape of short-term accommodation is changing all the way over Australia. When it first started, it was fine, but now we're finding and we're seeing a lot of councils move from the short-term rental accommodation into charging those accommodation owners business rates. It is a business. Let's not kid ourselves there. They register and get a STRA number. So they are actually registered that they're an operating business. Throughout Australia, throughout our major cities and our regional ones, councils are looking at Airbnbs and realising that they are a business. They do put an extra strain on the infrastructure, being the garbage, the water, and 9 times out of 10, all you have to do is pick up and read the articles on them. They over-accommodate their venue, which creates further problems. We know there's been noise problems and all the rest of it. The bottom line is they are a business. And to me, they should be paying business rates as with the rest of us, like motels, other short-term accommodation. If they've got a STRA rating, they're a business. And they should be paying business rates.
Thank you. Councillor Sheldon, anyone for?
I just
Councillor
wanted-
Wirtz.
is this
Sorry.
against or for?
You can just speak.
I just wanted to ask about the STRA ratings, a bit of clarification. Is that a rating in terms of, is it different sets of ratings, or it's just whether you're short-term rental
I
accommodation?
might
or not?
defer that over to Mr. Wilton. You know about star ratings?
Star ratings
Yeah,
and how they're listed.
yeah. What makes a star rating?
So in terms of the short-term rental accommodation listings, all businesses are required to register with the website. And also with that, there comes requirements in terms of there's a code of conduct that's associated with it. And also once those businesses are registered, they're obviously they're registered for the lifetime of that development. So that's how they're added on.
You have to renew each year.
Yeah, so originally it was for the lifetime, but I think that there wasn't a change to that during that.
And is it just, you just have a registration, there's no tiers or, you know, whether you have a short-term rental accommodation for 60 days of the year or 30 days of the year, or what's? is it
No,
just
I
a
think you
singular
can do them up to 186 as a maximum, I think. Remember?
180? So that's just a limit, it's a hard line.
Thank you.
I just, on saying statement on that clarification, because I find it, obviously there's an issue with people who are running businesses in terms of short-term accommodation who are paying business rates. There's a fairness argument here in regards to people who aren't paying business rates and they're just paying general rates in terms of residential rates, and yet they're making, you know, business income through, i.e. Airbnb. In terms of fairness, it's sort of difficult because you've also got people who are using housing 100% for Airbnb or short-term accommodation, and then there's people who are just using it during maybe holiday, maybe 1 month a year, and so they're to basically rent their house out for 1 month of the year, then they've got to pay these business rates. So
For the 12 months.
for the 12 months. So how do we make a fair playing field for everyone involved?
That's not how it
No,
works.
it's not how it works at all.
Okay.
You have up to 182 days a year. If you go over 182 days a year, you're classified as business and you go under a different one. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Will?
That's correct.
For the course of that year.
Yeah, for the course of that year, and you renew it each year.
So it's 6 months below and above, essentially.
Okay, Councillor Hayes had his hand up. Do you still want to speak? sir?
So, question for you, Mr. Wilton, if that's okay.
Certainly.
What zones are these permitted in and what zones are these prohibited in?
So any of the developments are basically in residential and rural zones. So anywhere with basically permitted dwelling, essentially that would then be classified. So there's different categories in terms of the land use zoning versus the category for the purposes of rates.
So is there anywhere where they're prohibited?
No.
Councillor Packard?
Right, I speak for the motion. There's a very fundamental principle at play. I think Councillor Wirtz sort of alluded to it, that a place needs to be rated on its principal use. And so that's where the 182 days where it comes in. So if the principal use of a piece of property is whatever, so for instance, if there was a pulp and paper mill sitting out on a farm, but it sat out on 1,000 acres of land, but the pulp and paper mill happened to earn billions of dollars, they can't say it's a farm just because it's sitting on a farm and pay farmland. They should pay sort of
Industry.
Business, industry.
but, yeah, because that's what they are. So just because a house is in a residential area, if it's used effectively as a hotel, it's a hotel. And if it's used effectively as a house and occasionally gets let out for Airbnb when the family are away, it's a house. So it's a very fundamental principle that a thing should be rated on its use, and the rate should be applied based on the principal use of that property.
Primary source of income.
That's right. So if you've got a hobby farm which grows $20,000 worth of tomatoes, and you have a house on there that you rent out and gets $40,000 worth of Airbnb, it should be rated at the house value rather than the farm value. And so that's what I see this motion is trying to do. It's trying to say, as a council, we should be rating properties for the principal use that they're used for.
Councillor Thompson?
Thank you. It's, to me, if you're advertising on websites promoting accommodation is available, then obviously you're out specifically seeking an income for that property. And it's no different to any other industry within the community. So I think it's a little bit disingenuous. If you've got 182 days that you can rent it out without it attracting that business tag, that to me is fairly generous. So I think that is fair enough. If you go over that, then you're generating enough income to actually acknowledge it as a business. And I think, it's a little bit like people who run businesses from home. They don't pay any business rates and they don't pay any additional rates, but they generate all their income in their own home, but pay nothing for it. So understanding it now the way I did, I must say that I had the question, what is meant by in principle? Because I think we need clearer understanding of exactly what it is and things that explain the 182 days, things that explain what the rating is. So I'm happy to support it so that we can understand exactly how it works.
Councillor Lada?
Well, personally, I can't support it because I think in principle we should be reducing rates. I think we're paying too much as it is, and I think people are doing it tough. I think all this will do is create further angst and hardship in an already struggling community. As to services, I mean, at the end of the day, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, if you need an additional garbage service to what's already in the residential pickup, then you would have to pay for it. So there is no impact on that side of it. I mean, that's. And how is this any different to having an investment property where the ATO doesn't view you?
That might be next.
You've as a mum and dad investor, you go and invest in a property and you negative gear it, and you may choose to put that on Airbnb. You may choose to put it as a rental for someone, and you go through a real estate, they advertise it, but it's no different. So I can't support it. I just think it will heavily impact those just trying to get ahead, those middle class mum and dads that are doing it tough, and this will just whack them unnecessarily. And I just don't see this being good for anyone.
Thank you. Councillor Hayes, clarification or question?
Clarification. So if the rates go up on some of these, does that mean the whole rate income goes up, or does that mean that someone else gets their rates
Lower.
cheaper?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the business rating would basically come back to council. It's not going to a third party or the state government. Just to clarify what I said before, there's two types of STRAs. So there's hosted and non-hosted. So the hosted one, where the person lives on site and is renting out part of the house, they're able to be done up to 365 days a year. If it's non-hosted, so if, say for instance, somebody has a dwelling that they've just put onto Airbnb and they're just allowing it to be rented out on an ad hoc basis, they're limited up to 180 days. So again,
Doesn't answer.
I didn't answer.
No, your question again?
The question is, we have a ceiling on how much rates we can collect. This doesn't add to that, does it?
no.
No,
It's not.
we're
like a
still the
subsidy
same
where
bucket.
You get an extra lot of rates.
It just means
No.
some other layers.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Thank you for being so patient, Councillor Hardwick.
That's okay. Just a couple questions, if I may. What is the between, on an average amount, how much more would a business rate be than a commercial, than a residential rate? How much more could an Airbnb expect to pay a year?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it depends on the property, but overall, sort of business rates are higher than residential rates.
Yeah, but how much higher
How
is the
much?
question? Sorry.
I'll need to check. I don't know if it's
this is where we
Would you
get
say-
it.
Councillor Works, question or
good.
clarification there?
I've got a few questions and clarifications, which might have been better if we had a workshop in regards to this.
Well, here we are.
Oh.
Here we are.
You're not allowed to.
But my main question is how do you make this fair for all people? Because if you were to game the system, say you're trying to make the most out of this short-term rental accommodation loophole, let's call it, where you don't have to pay business rates, you'd open your doors up 182 days a year and you make the most out of it. But if you're actually just, really trying to say rent your house out for a month every year when you go on holiday, and you're only using that 1 month window, I mean, it punishes the people who are, just families who are just trying to rent their
But
house
they
out
won't
for a
be,
few
they won't be,
It won't be affected.
because
Well,
it's under the
this-
180.
But isn't this, that's my question, is if you apply business rating to short-term rental accommodation, STRA, that's anyone who's under the 182 days, isn't it?
Oh,
Over.
Over.
It's only over, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, you make.
actually
good
run it
points.
as
So
business.
there's all that.
Well, that's-
And it is interesting that I think you've put this motion, my understanding was, to bring more income to the council because we are looking at more income. But in fact, it's not going to bring us any more income. Is that correct? It's not, is it?
Well, it
Well,
will.
it's all in the rating. It's out of the same rating
It's
pool.
new business. You're still paying your residential.
But we're not going to make any, council itself is not going to get any more money out of it.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it will, because obviously our income base through the rating system will actually increase.
That was my question. I
That was his question.
Yep.
Yeah,
don't think it will.
Because isn't our pie set?
yes.
If one land value goes up more, then everybody else pays a tiny little bit so that we stay within that rating envelope. But I mean, I don't know.
So my point is, if it's not making the council any more money, we should be doing whatever we can to help people with short-term accommodation in town to bring more tourists to town and build business.
But there's still an equity issue because if you've short
Oh, yeah, okay.
the house next to a motel and have it rented out 365 days a year and pay a cheaper
Yeah.
rate than the motel, that's not fair.
Yeah, okay. Yes, yes.
Can I
Councillor
speak
Hargreaves?
against the motion?
But it also,
I'll just leave you off.
it also just, I suppose a statement would be that it could provide, there's a lot of towns within the Snowy Valleys that are predominantly Airbnb, a lot of Airbnbs or short-term accommodations are taking over what could be residential properties, and forcing the rent and ownership or house prices of those residential properties to skyrocket.
As in,
And then it is pushing out families and young people from being able to purchase a property and live in it, and have a property that's only being used 3 to 4 times a week, rather than a family living in full time. So I think, in principle, I
That's a
support
good
this
argument.
idea as well.
good argument. Councillor Hayes, did you want to clarify?
I know I wanted to speak against the motion. Is
Okay,
that what we're up to?
I think you've already spoken against it right in the
No.
beginning.
No, I sought clarification on something.
Clarification, then a question, and now you're against it. Okay.
Well, look, I'm not so much against it. I think as Councillor Packard says, there's some people are paying it, some people aren't. And I remember when they imposed this tax on Councillor Sheldon, he was very unhappy at the time. And so it's not fair because he's paying it and other people aren't. That's what it boils down to, I think. But it's not going to bring us any more money in that I can understand. Yes.
That's our understanding, yes.
That's it. It's not going to bring any more money in it, as I understand it, but it is going to create animosity. And it'll probably take up a heap of staff time, which we can't afford. So I'll vote no.
Yeah. Councillor Sheldon, do you want to close?
Yes,
the
I
vote?
do. Look, I think Councillor Packard has hit the nail on the head. Without looking too far, and we can take all the discussion out of it, what is the predominant use of that block of land? Is it for accommodation, paid for accommodation? Is it a business or is it not? It's that simple.
Councillors, are you all confident that it is that simple, or would you like us deferred to have a
I'd
report?
I still can't wrap my head around it. I'm reading the straw on here. And there's a lot
It's
of
complicated.
a lot of
Would
information.
you like to move a motion to have this deferred?
I'd like a report. Yeah. further
Okay.
motion.
Yep. And
Report, not the
so
other.
there's a motion on the table to defer, moved by councillor Wertz, seconded by,
Sorry, defer to do what?
Can we not
to
get
have
a,
a report.
Yeah.
well, you need to say that.
Oh, we don't need to defer, we'll just say that a report be prepared.
Oh, that a report. Okay,
Well, I'd just like to know how it would impact and what sort of rates increases and along those lines, there might be.
do you accept that?
Yes.
Okay.
So point
Thank
four.
you. Councillor,
Point four.
Is it a new point to be?
it's a whole new motion, I think.
Yeah, it's a whole new-
It's a whole new motion.
Oh, look at this fancy stuff they got here now.
That's what that's actually.
No, so David,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so he was the mover, so he's happy to amend it. Say that report be prepared, and then we'll need some help with that.
Motion with that.
Outlining. How applying a business rating category to short-term rental accommodation will affect.
Will
Impact.
Will impact the Snowy Valleys Council community.
Well, I think
Is
one,
there
we're
sounds-
asking, can it increase the rate or, and is it, what will be the impact
Well,
on,
that'll be in the
Not
report.
increase the rate cap, that's,
not the rate cap, the rate income,
yeah, but that the rate cap is the income.
We don't have to vote on that.
because it's right.
moved into.
No, because the motion, that'll go lapse.
Unless it was a fee.
So we've got a motion that a report be prepared outlining how applying a business category to short-term accommodation and would impact the Snowy Valleys Council.
Rating income, is that what you want to know?
Well, it's rating, well, it is community and rating income, because we want to know the community business.
We just put an and, council and community.
And just short-term rental accommodations, so we get the acronym.
Sorry, I can see you, councillor Ludd, I'm just trying to get the right word. Would impact Snowy Valleys Council and community.
So that way we can look at whether.
Councillor Ludd, do you have something to add to that?
Well, I was just gonna ask whether, I don't think this is so much a staff time issue. I think this is more a community impact. And we should be calling for submissions from interested parties from community, business leaders, et cetera, about what the impacts of this are, because,
Well,
what.
that could be part of, that should be part of the report.
From the ATO.
Yep.
Well, I mean, the staff shouldn't be spending hours and hours looking into stuff that's not relevant, really.
Through the general manager, has councillor Ludd got a good point? Is this a waste of staff time? Is this too big of tasks for, is this,
No, through you, Madam Mayor, look, it's up to council, but I think it's worth undertaking, like some modelling to see what the impact would be for council and the community. I'm okay with that.
Madam Mayor, it also says, item number 2, consult with the affected landholders. We're not saying just do it, we're actually saying consult with them.
Prior to implementing.
Yes,
yeah,
so
so that should be part of the report.
it's already there.
Okay, but the motion we're moving at the moment was what councillor Wertz put forward, that we have a report. Okay. All those in favour? Unanimous.
no,
That's just.
Was it? Was that unanimous, councillor Hayes? Unanimous? Was it
Did you
unanimous?
vote? Jane?
Well, I voted, yes.
Oh, you did, sorry, we missed it.
Look at the roofs.
It's easier for Jeannie if it's unanimous. Okay, okay, so that meant councillor
You're doing.
Sheldon's motion lapsed. Thank you. Okay, well done, everyone. Right, now we get into council.
Just a point of clarification, why is there no number 10? We go straight from 9 to 11. Oh, okay.
Is it number 10? Yeah, urgent business without-
Okay, we're now into governance and financial reports. This one, the council resolutions action report, February 2026, moved by councillor Thompson, seconded by councillor Hardwick. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have a few little queries in here. I'm just wondering how we have the 31st of the 2nd as a date, due date. On page 44, on page 45, and I think on page
Yeah, type that.
46. Is it the
So left to
2nd
one
or
out.
the 12th or?
Oh, just because it's February.
So 8.5 and
So
also
there's 28 days in February.
11.7.
Through you, councillor Thompson, that's obviously meant to be the end of that month.
Okay. The other point that I would like to, just in relation to item 8.2 and the elms down near the racecourse, I think it's timely to acknowledge and give gratitude to the Racecourse Trust and also the Chimit Turf Club, who not only contributed significant finances to erect the bollards, but also organised all of the voluntary work that went into doing it, and it's already having a significant effect on some of it. But there's still, so I think that's worth acknowledging. Thank you very much. 11.7, which on page 45, the expressions of interest in relation to lot 1 Kappa Street. Do we have any update on that, or does that lapse now because it's not
It
happening?
changes
or-
every second day.
Do we take that one down?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the proponent of that proposal is meant to be coming back to me with, as per the resolution of council, the options agreement. Which I've followed up with him.
Councillor
and
Works, councillor.
He was
Sheldon.
meant to come back to me with the options agreement so that we could go through it, but I still haven't received it.
Okay, and Madam Mayor, on page 46,
You can't get on the website.
11.2, the rephasing of capital works program for roads in relation to Hume Link. Again, roads were an issue that were raised at the Buck meeting in Batlow on the weekend. Is it true that there is a finite amount overall that can be spent over the course of the life of the project of $1 million? And if there's more damage to the roads than that can actually fix, that they won't be fixed?
Through you, Madam Mayor, we're talking about the maintenance agreements that are in
Yes.
place? Yeah. So, yeah, there's a finite amount of money that's been set aside through the agreements for the 2 years. So it's the total of those monthly repayments
Right.
that's been agreed to. So that's what we believe is enough money to look after the roads. We're only maintaining the roads. We're not rebuilding roads.
Yep.
It would be prudent of the council at the end of those roads agreement that we should be advocating to possibly rebuild the roads. That's capital works money if they need to. But the intent of the agreement is that the roads are returned to us in the same condition that they were handed over to HumeLink 2 years ago. So, as you know, from the report that was prepared back in October, our roads are in pretty good condition, and therefore we expect to get them back in pretty good condition in 2 years' time from
Yep.
HumeLink.
And whether I raise it here through this or whether I raise it in the HumeLink report, there are a number of roads that the locals in Batlow believe are being used by inappropriate vehicles. So whether or not the roads are actually rated to actually carry the B doubles that are going on there. So that's an area of concern, and if it is happening, then that would impact on the condition of the roads and not necessarily they're not complying.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I agree, and we've had a couple of reports that they're using roads that they've said to us in the agreement that they wouldn't be using, and we just need to police that. Every time we ask them that question, there's sometimes a valid reason why they're not using the road that was in the agreement, but they certainly know that we're watching and we get the reports from the community about why is this B double on this road, and we raise it at our monthly meeting.
And I recommend for people to take photos of the number plate, as I do. Councillor Shaw.
Item 10.9 has been on there for over 12 months and it keeps moving the date.
Which page are you on,
Adelong
councillor Sheldon?
44.
Yeah.
The Adelong Showground.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we are waiting to hear back from the.
They've heard back.
We've heard back?
They're not satisfied with the document. So there's a meeting being called after the Adelong show, I believe,
On the 14th.
after the 14th.
I will talk on page 44, the 8.4, the advocacy plan, which is councillor Hayes, one of the things. Councillor Hayes reminded me that something that we used to do during Tumbertrek was actually have the advocacy plan printed out. And so when you went there as a councillor, you sort of went, oh, there's someone from Crown Lands, I'll talk to them about this, or there's, you know, the Minister for Police, and we wanted a police station in Tumbarumba. And it was, you know, it was pretty, had nice graphics and things like that. Thought it was a good reminder, Councillor Hayes, that we do it next year for Tumbertrek, because it was a really happy Tumbertrek and people were looking for ways to help us. So,
So Phil.
Yep.
I think also, you know, I'd like to see us have for the opportunity to add things
that it's a dynamic document.
at the start of every month. You know, we sit down for 10 minutes and who's got a few ideas, kick them around, whatever. Yes, no, maybe, and update them, because it's not just, no good having something sitting on the shelf, or not even on the shelf. It might be on a virtual shelf. I'm not sure, because I haven't seen it.
When do we do it?
But I think, you know, it's a working document. It's an important part. It's one of the really important parts of our IPNR, because it's the projects we're talking about. And it's the glossy that goes with it. So that's why it's important. If anyone doesn't understand, I can sit down with them for 5 minutes, show them previous ones. And if you're not won over, I'm sorry. But, you know, I'd like to see the Brindabella Road front and centre. You know, I travelled that road the other day, and the work that's been done on it so far is magnificent. I can get from Tumut to Denman Prospect in an hour and a half. I can get to the airport in 2 hours. Sensational. There is a little bit of wildlife on the road, certainly. The other thing, you know, things like, we resolved that we would try and buy the land at the other end of at the end of the airport that we started with. That should be in the advocacy plan. I don't see it anywhere.
Councillor Hayes, how about before we go into a council meeting, we can discuss this, you know, and that's, we don't have workshops anymore or anything like that. It can be just something we discuss before.
Happy to
You
do
go
that.
through all the corporate planning.
Did it
other
not
thing-
have to be
And
taken
it
off?
was,
Would it
Councillor
not
Sheldon.
have to be taken off the agenda for that month to fit with the
Yeah.
government?
well, very good point. Well, it can be taken off now because we're going to be discussing it monthly.
No, as in, you can't discuss it prior to the meeting because you're not allowed to discuss anything that's.
It's on the-
within
on the-
business paper.
That's what.
That's what
We'll
Councillor
take it out.
Sheldon-
and then you-
Yes.
It's not
So we
the
don't-
item, it's the report that would have to be out of the business paper because we can't discuss.
No, I think you've lost.
The- Yeah, no, what we're saying is we just take out that on page 44, whatever number it is, we take that out and then it's not in the agenda anymore.
And then we do it. The other one was the potable water at the airport. You know, you can get rid of that because that was instead of the raw water.
Yeah,
You know, like,
so that can be removed.
Treat that as much needed.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
thank you. I think that's,
opportunity lost, as far as I'm concerned, but anyhow. The other one was, for me, the MEC. And we had a bit of a look through the MEC today. I'm just amazed at how fantastic that is. You know, I've been an advocate for it a lot. I know there's been a lot of pushback on it, but when people see what's down there, I think they'll be very, very pleased. great, great use of money, I think. And congratulations to everyone involved.
Absolutely, entirely. Really well done. Any more discussion? Councillor Thompson, do you want to close?
I think councillor.
I would
Oh,
actually like to back up what councillor Hayes has said about the MPC Centre. But from my point of view, it's a pity a few more councillors didn't show up to the monthly meetings where they actually give progress reports, because it would actually show the community how much support there is in council for that project.
Well, it's 5 o'clock next Wednesday at Club Tumut. Councillor Thompson, you're happy if we close?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. All those in favour? Unanimous, I think. Councillor Hayes, to be hand up. Thank you. 11.2. Now the recommendation is to note the de-amalgamation update, moved by councillor Packard, seconded by councillor Hardwick. Councillor Packard.
I have nothing to say. I'll leave it to others. I think there's some interviews happening tomorrow for the
Chief Transition
Chief
Officer,
Transition
the
Officer.
CTO.
And after that person is appointed, then there will be more to report on.
Yeah, and if I could just, there has been a lot of people with a lot of opinions about the de-amalgamation and what's happening, and I think it's pretty important if we could ask the General Manager to go through the timeline so that people can see that there is a process. We're not sitting here doing nothing. There is a process we're going through. I want to just look over the fence to Cootamundra Gundagai, and their de-amalgamation was called on the 22nd of August 2022. Oh, no, 4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I wrote it down because I knew I would forget. The 24th of August 2022 was when Wendy Tuckerman called it. So we want to be so much faster than that, and we definitely want to have it all worked out by the next council elections. But we all wish we could just click our fingers and have it happen tomorrow, but that's not possible. So I will let the General Manager talk about a timeline.
Through you, Madam Mayor. So council's approaching the de-amalgamation like it would with any other council project. So first thing to do is obviously to allocate staff resource to that project. And as Councillor Packard has just pointed out, we're conducting interviews this week for the Chief Transition Officer, also known as the CTO. The second thing of the project is we need to identify how much it's going to cost. At this stage, there are some project estimates mentioned in the de-amalgamation implementation plan, also known as the DIP, I'll say. But it does state in that plan that those project estimates do need to be refined and finalised if referendum is successful. So that's the second part of the project that needs to happen. At this stage, we don't know. It could cost 3 million, it could cost 8 million, but that is a key part of the project. The third part of the project that needs to happen after we know how much it's going to cost is where that funding's going to come from. So it might be a combination of factors. There might be a grant from the state government, it might be a loan, it might have to be found internally. It just depends what the final cost comes back with, and also what's appropriate for this council as well. So I think we need to run through some funding scenarios with council depending on certain factors in terms of funding. And then obviously the final part of the project is actually to get the project underway to actually do the de-amalgamation. This will be a lengthy exercise. However, the state government has also said they need all of council's paperwork to them 6 months in advance of proclamation, which means council would need to have everything to them by December next year if we're aiming for a September 2028, or sorry, the 1st of July 2028, if we wanted to go earlier. So we have to align the proclamation with the financial years. If we wanted to go earlier, it would mean we would need everything to the state government by December this year. And my suggestion would be that is not viable, given the steps that has to be undertaken before we get to that point. I think it's also something to remember that when council was amalgamated, it did take 2 to 3 years to see that amalgamation through from start to finish. The actual amalgamation was quick, but everything post amalgamation, or the rating harmonisation, all the policies, the websites took 2 to 3 years. So I don't believe we can get everything done in 9 to 10 months if we were to go early. So my advice to council is to stick to the 1st of July 2028. This is something that the OLG is quite comfortable with. And as I said, with any project, we have to go through our sort of governance framework that we would.
So thank you. Just one thing worried me in the fact that I don't feel it's our place to write the new policies, the new structure for the new council. To me, the analogy is if I was selling my house and I put new carpet in and a new kitchen, and then somebody buys it and then they rip it all out again. And I really hope that we realise that what we're putting in place is a new council, but everything's got to be interim, because we cannot make decisions for that new council.
So that's something up for the new councils to decide. But in order for the new councils to be up and running, they need policies. That's how councils are governed. So they need their policies in place. But if they want to amend that post proclamation, they are more than welcome to. But in order for councils to be up and running 1st of July, they need policies in place.
But my argument would be that surely the policies have got to become the interim policies, so then they can change.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably, but that needs to happen.
Yep. Sorry, councillor Wirtz, you're being say something.
Yeah, I was just concerned with like costs. In fact, what costs will be shared equally, and what costs will be enacted after the de-amalgamation has gone through, in terms of, say, for example, signage. As a lot of people have been asking me about, are we going to keep the name Snowy Valleys Council, or who wants to change the name to, say, Tumbarumba Shire, i.e. But there's a lot of other costs that are borne throughout the organisation, and how are those costs are going to be divided up?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So that's an exercise that will have to happen as part of the project. And I think in terms of branding and signage and naming, that decision would need to happen quite early on in the piece. So when we do present how much it's going to cost, that will be a factor. So that would need to happen sooner rather than later, because it all depends on then how much funding we go for, how much we need to borrow, how much grant funding. So I do know that the state government is looking for savings with any cost proposals that we do put forward as well.
Councillor Packer.
You want me to close debate?
I'm just going to say one thing, is just so people are aware, the minister's very keen that this is going to be council led. However, the chief transition officer is definitely under the general manager, because they will be a member of staff. And just so people are aware, the deputy mayor and I are both going to be observers in the interviews, and having someone from the north and south, and we will be like that all the way through the de-amalgamation process, making sure that we have people from the north and the south for the equity of the process.
Okay. Councillor Packard closes debate. I think it's really important for us to understand the significance of the process that we're going through, and we shouldn't be rushing to appease people who are concerned that we're doing nothing. They do not understand the complexity of the process. The de-amalgamation process is more complicated than even the amalgamation process, because we need to look at what the resources are, what the finances are, what the assets are. We now have to look at the differing technologies. You can't just walk in and go, we will rebrand former two councils back the way they were and let them sort it out. And while I'm aware that the southern end desperately want this to hurry up, I don't think we'd be doing anyone any favours to rush into something and not fully understand the implications of the decisions that are going to be made. And this is where the appointment of a Chief Transition Officer is absolutely critical. And I have no doubt that that Chief Transition Officer will work closely with us as councillors, as well as the General Manager and the staff.
Thank you. Councillor Packer.
Just to close, the state government is they're heavily invested in this, and they are not going to proclaim 2 new councils starting until they are absolutely confident and comfortable that we have 2 living, breathing entities that can walk and run from day one. And to say that that could happen by the end of this year, to go to them with a case for that, it's just not going to happen. I mean, even 2 years is giving it a good shove. So making haste and sort of trying to get a thing up and going before, it just won't get past the pub test of the state government. It's got to get past them. So we've got to have the finances right, we've got to have the operational system right. And so it will take the time it takes.
Thank you. Okay, councillors, all those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. So that brings us to 11.3, 2026 Elgar National General Assembly, which is basically the approval of attendance for Mayor Julia Han, Councillor Trina Thompson, Councillor Hayes, and any other councillors to attend the National General Assembly.
No.
Councillor Larder would like to be approved in there. Anyone else? Councillor Hardwick? Oh, sorry, who moves that? Councillor Larder moved it, seconded by Councillor Hardwick. And Councillor Larder, were you saying you'd like to go? Yes. And Councillor Hardwick. Thank you. Any other councillors interested?
No, but Madam Mayor, can I say that I would like to attend the regional forum on the Tuesday?
Sure, certainly.
Thank you.
Does that need to be put in? I think that's all part of the Elgar conference and we can work out.
Yeah, that's fine. We can work on.
Yeah.
Who's attended.
Okay, all those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. 11.4, councillor professional. 11.4, councillor professional development, January to March. Recommends, there's 6 recommendations there. Mainly showing how very involved Councillor Sheldon is.
I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Thompson.
I need to reiterate exactly what you just said, Madam Mayor. Councillor Sheldon is certainly being developed. So,
Grabbing it with
in
2
a
hands.
positive way.
Very much appreciated. Any other comments? All those in favour? Unanimous. Yeah. 11.5, 6 monthly progress report, combined delivery program and operational plan. That's to be noted. Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, I'll put it
Yeah,
up.
seconded by Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, of course, I think it's very nice looking and all the rest, but when I get the economy, it actually just says on track, on track. Now, to me, I think our readers or our ratepayers would like to know a little bit more than on track when we're looking at our economy. That is my only comment on it. I think it's a lovely statement, but I don't think it's.
I can clarify. So
Yeah.
our economy is one of the main pillars, and within that, there should be a service area action status and comment. So our,
Yeah.
yeah, so this is a 6 monthly progress. So we're saying it's on track, and then once we do the annual report, we sort of measure how we went against those.
Well, for instance, you've got here the caravan park. You've got completed. Well, what was the result? It's completed. What was the result?
Sorry, which page are you on, Councillor Sheldon?
Page 52.
52
Of the attachment? Of the attachment?
Sorry.
how's it
Yes,
in
to
there?
oversee the management and operation of Tumbarumba Barlow Caravan Park. There's a status on track and there's a comment there. So management and the reinvestment in Tumbarumba Caravan Park needs to be undertaken in line with the adopted business plan. Management of the Batlow Caravan Park also continues with both parks experiencing increased utilisation and income. That's how we're overseeing it.
Result, profits, loss.
Can I just comment?
Yeah, so that'll be in the annual report when we'll report back once we've got full financial figures for the year.
Yeah, this is just a very high level.
This is very high level.
But did you want to see more detail?
Yes.
Asking for? Okay. I'll make a note of it.
So can I comment on the 12 council newsletters, which I think are absolutely fantastic? I really enjoy the newsletter. I think it's a very quick 2-pager, easy to see, good photos, nicely presented, and congratulations to the communication team. But councillors, I put a challenge to you that we've got 600 email subscribers. I think we need at least 1,200, if not 2,000. And Councillor Packard's just left the room.
I don't know.
He was speaking to another council, and they had thousands of subscribers. So I think we can get there, but we need to be pushing. If you've got social media or your friend next door or something, and say, "Have you seen this in the newsletter?" It's very easy to subscribe, and the more we can give out information, the better council we will be.
So do we currently send the newsletter to various organisations, and I'll use Tauca as an example. Tauca would actually distribute that to any of the members, or even put it on the Albingo trading post site.
And the Cancoban one as well. So I think any councillors with any ideas, or any of the general public with any ideas how to distribute more, please send it through.
Even to our tourist outlets that we have across the Snowy Valleys, if we ask them, I'm sure that they all have an email list that they send out to. Maybe that's an opportunity to get them to promote us as well.
And you have to seek their permission as well. You can't just.
Yeah, put it on. Councillor Hardwick, Councillor Packard. Well, at least I got it right this time, Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Packard, I was talking about the newsletter and what you'd heard from another council about the uptake of the newsletter.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I've in my role working with the census, I speak to people in other counties, and one of them said that they have a social media following of their newsletter greater than the population of their LGA, by putting interesting, sort of probably maybe
Jokes?
I don't know if it was jokes, but it was certainly a light-hearted approach and a very regular, updated, informative approach through their social media. So it had, and they said they'd noticed that it had just got a snowball effect, and so now they had a massive following, and it was a really effective way of keeping the community engaged. So but
Something we can all work on.
They pay a very young person who's very good at it to do that.
So just to clarify, was that their social media or the newsletter?
That was how they distributed their newsletter, through social media. It was that was their approach to.
And we could do that too. I don't think
So
we do
get
that.
rid of the newsletter and just focus on social media.
No, but do
No.
the newsletter that goes out
Newsletter's
in
part of your
social media.
Yeah.
So it's distributed
And
through.
for instance, the councillor column would be a councillor actually delivering a couple of minutes talk and showing something, rather than it being somebody wrote. So it'd be a
Interactive on.
yeah.
Then you've got to-
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to say. Get rid of the physical emailed newsletter and use the content we would have put in that in a social
I
media
didn't
form.
ask that question of them to see whether, but yeah,
That's what I'm-
that could.
then you've got to-
Councillor Packard, you were out of the room, and I was saying how much I appreciate the newsletter. I think it's fantastic, but we have 600 subscribers,
Yeah,
and really we need 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers.
That's 600 more than I thought you'd have.
We may differ.
I think 600 is pretty good.
How many followers you got?
We're off track on our. delivery
Okay.
program.
All those, where are we?
We've moved into-
Councillor Sheldon, do you want to close, or are you quite happy for us to?
You want more information?
Yeah, just more information, as I said, more defined information.
Okay, councillors, I'll put those resolutions to you. All in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Okay. Councillor expenses for 6 months period ending the 31st of December. Do I have a mover?
Yeah.
Councillor Larder, Councillor Packard, Councillor Larder. Any discussion? All those in favour? Unanimous. Quarterly budget review as of the 31st of December. Councillor Sheldon's in there. And seconded by Councillor Thompson. Councillor Sheldon.
Look, I think the report's very in-depth, but I do think there are some things that are highlighted in there, just actually shows how brittle our finances are. If you go to IPNR where they recommend that we, 90 days worth of reserves, you quickly see that we haven't. And we know that timing does play a big part for the accruals and all the rest of it. But look, I think there are some things that were highlighted, in there. The CTOs where we've already put $107,000 into it, but I couldn't see anywhere where the rest of the referendum costs were in the report. And I think because it is an added item, it should specify that somewhere in the report.
Through,
Okay, so through you, Madam Mayor, that was in a previous QBR report. So not for this quarter, it was in a previous quarter, probably 2 quarters ago. Yeah.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it was in QBR 1, 240,000.
Thank you.
so
And I think it does highlight, look, we look at what Councillor Larder brought up earlier on. The cost of living, it also comes back into council. When we look out there, our depreciation's gone up 7%, costs that we have to figure in. So we've really got to start looking at these things and strategically planning ahead. And if we look at the long-term financials, I'd be very interested to know how we're situated now when we were predicting, if we kept on going, that we would have a $30 million deficit by 2030. And that we were going to, and I know the general manager is quite concerned about implementing the cost savings of 12 to 25% during this de-amalgamation. These are things that we should all be aware of when we look at these QBR reports, that the general manager is striving for savings, but she's being hindered, and the chief financial officer being hindered on the other side when we've got all these distractions out there. I think everyone's really got to be attuned there. We are going to be facing extra costs. Our finances are already brittle, so we've got to really keep our finger on the pulse.
thank you, Councillor Sheldon. If I could just ask the borrowings, since we seem to have forgotten to put that in.
Madam Mayor, yes, that's correct, yeah. So we do have for the total borrowings for the council $3.79 million in total. And out of that, 450,000 is the current, which is to be paid in the next 12 months.
450.
450.
And so our borrowings are 3.7.
$1.79 million.
Yes, okay. And in there was the talk of the Wee Jasper Road. And if I could ask the Director of Infrastructure and Works, I know that we've had some pushback on the Wee Jasper Road, and I drove it, and I can understand why people are a bit upset about it. But from my understanding, HumeLink East have almost finished using that road, and we can get in there and start getting it patched up, because it's pretty bad.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. As long as they're finished in there.
Yep.
We're maintaining Wee Jasper Road as per the maintenance agreement we have in place with HumeLink East. But once they confirm they're out of there, I'd be happy to commit to doing the capital works upgrade of that road. As you'd understand, it'd be fruitless to do that while they're still using it, because they'd just stuff the road up.
Yeah.
Perhaps, or until it rains as well. Be doing it in peak dry.
That's right. And a lot of, well, the main issue with Jasper Road are parts of the unsealed section, which is causing, you can't regrade in this dry weather because it just ends up in a dust storm. And so you need to either use a hell of a lot more water to stabilise the unsealed road to grade it, or as what we're currently doing, we're probably going to just postpone some of that regrading until it gets wetter. And then it's not a fruitless exercise to regrade the unsealed road.
And Chief Financial Officer, just about the home and aged care transition grant transferred from reserve for expenditure. You just put it in the reserve and take it out as needed.
Take it out.
Yeah, terrific. Okay, thank you. Councillor Sheldon.
With the way the economy's going, not just here, but state, nation and worldwide, are we doing any hardship modelling, what we can expect? Where people can't afford their rates, are we doing any modelling on past or any, or what we can expect where our income will be affected?
And I think, can I throw in the drought there as well?
What's the hardship modelling?
Yeah.
Well, through you, Madam Mayor, at the moment, it's up to individuals to make that decision if they want to apply for hardship. But council doesn't do any modelling on the percentage of residents we think will be experienced. It's sort of on an application.
Oh, no, I understand that, but are we actually allowing or looking, when we look at our income from rates, saying because of the economy, because of the drought, because we expect a 15% drop in our rates or a 10% drop in our rural rate, because people are going to actually apply for hardship, which is going to affect the overall income for the CFO to produce the reports for us. So we actually know where we are, because they are extenuating circumstances. And no matter which way we look at it, that's reality now. There are hardships out there, and we need to do some modelling so we can expect not to get the rates that we actually budget for. So for the director over there of infrastructure, he's got to drop his budgets a bit.
We probably could have sorry, through you. If we're seeing a growth in the people not paying their rates, is there a trend line of that going up, or is our rate recovery holding?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's pretty consistent. It's not increasing by a significant rate. Last year, we didn't have many rates outstanding that would be different to the previous year. So yeah, almost in the same range of 7-8%.
And have you had any producers affected by the drought? Asking for
Yeah, the broom
delaying that?
Can we just revisit the loans? You said 3.5 million.
Yeah, that's what I.
$3.79 million.
I
That's
think
just.
we had that. I thought we only had a loan on the Canaan part. What do we
Yeah, I
borrow?
thought it was around the 600.
No, it's mostly on our water and wastewater infrastructure
When do we borrow that?
years ago. So, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Hayes, it was a while ago. So if council is to borrow money, that's something that has to be approved by council. So nothing's come to council and.
Have something sent out. to clarify that.
asking
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, I had the same thought, councillor Hayes.
And it's also on the Tumbarumba Main Street upgrade.
Main Street upgrade. Then we have Encroven Visitor Information Centre. It's also on the financial statement as
Nothing
well. But yeah, the LED street lighting, all townships for that one. Loan for the water treatment plant. GM said,
All southern.
Competition.
No.
yes.
So do we get that money back?
Councillor Hayes, I think we'll move on to the next question.
But I'd largely.
It's a vanity project, I think, is what we're talking about.
Okay, so councillor Sheldon, are you happy if we close?
Yes, I am,
Discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Okay, all those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, 11.9, Statement of Investments, January 2026. Any
Oh,
comments on that?
Wish we could get those.
Councillor Hayes, seconded by councillor Sheldon. Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, look, I noticed that we've been getting letters saying, that we should move quickly towards demerging because we're in, in a desperate financial situation and we're losing money hand over fist and all that sort of thing. Now, we're apparently lost $40 million over 10 years, is that right? something like.
Well, that's what Chaffey was saying, used to say all the time.
8 years.
So I thought,
Yeah.
look, this is a really simplistic way of doing it, but I thought, well, let's have a look. And so I had a look, and we've got in reserve now, total cash and investment funds, 66.9 million. Now, in September 2017,
9 actually,
69.
was last month.
In September 2017, we had 50 million. Now, if we've been losing $4 million a year, we'd have less than 66 million left. So the bottom line is, there's more money in the bank now than there was then, but we've lost 40 million. Go figure.
Structurally.
We've had lots and lots and lots of money coming in through grants.
So it's not lost. It's
No.
spent.
It's,
But we have some wonderful assets and our equity has increased by what?
And our depreciation.
Yeah, well, that's the other side of the equation. How about loans?
Yeah.
Was there no loans? Have we got now massive
Well,
loans?
we
But
now got, we just found out we got 3.5 million in loans. That was a surprise to me.
but you're right, you look at the financials and every year the equities.
Because.
And
you know,
thus we're
the
paying
former
more
mayor,
depreciation,
Chaffey,
right?
simplistically explained to me that a budget works is that you've got to have money coming in and money going out, and you shouldn't have more money going out than you've got coming in. So like a household budget.
Mm.
We've
Councillor
got more
Worth.
money than we have started with.
Just a question.
I'll leave it at that.
Regards with the equity. And equity has increased. Is it over $1 billion now from
Yeah,
what I recall?
we're very close to that, aren't we?
It
Like
just
the
on,
Our
total
equity?
assets.
Yeah.
give or take.
Correct, yeah,
Yeah,
including, through you, Madam Mayor, yes, correct. Including the accumulated surplus and the valuation of the assets, which is the main reason why the equity's gone up. So the asset valuation is the big ticket item on that.
And that was the roads and bridges
Correct.
revaluation.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Increased by
and that
70%.
depreciation.
Yeah.
7%.
Yeah, what is the depreciation on that 1 billion worth of equity?
It
Who cares?
depends on
The
the.
asset class.
The asset,
Depends on the asset.
Correct, yeah.
you can't do just a quick 15%. or anything.
Oh, but I just meant the total depreciation over the year to date or the last financial year is
Through you, Madam Mayor, $17.1 million.
17.
Yeah, correct. Seven
So that was what, a quarter of,
for annual, like
yeah. So, and the total,
asset base, correct, yeah.
you said $17.1 million in depreciation of asset
Depreciation.
base, and that's a percentage of the yearly budget is what's,
Sitting on operational result, yes.
and what percentage of our expenditure is that?
That's,
Are we off topic?
that's the second largest expense item of.
So it's
was
just
in
a
the
little bit,
financial statement.
it's in the financial statement. Great questions,
Yeah.
but a little bit difficult for the
Just
CFO
puts in
to
perspective
answer in
on
the,
the real cost of
yeah.
holding assets.
I think it would be a great, very good questions to ask the CFO, but she probably needs
Happy to answer.
the
I,
financial
it just sort
statement.
of brings into question the idea of what is equity and what's an asset and what's a liability, I suppose. And
Councillor Sheldon will tell you a good course to go to.
What I was going to actually say, and I heard what councillor Hayes said, and I've listened to what councillor Wirtz has said. Of the money that's in the bank, how much is restricted?
Some reserves.
unrestricted cash.
Yeah, but there's unrestricted and there's restricted.
Restricted cash, restricted save, how much is in that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, unallocated cash is $6.3 million.
This is really $6 million worth of
Predominantly
Unrestricted.
cash.
unrestricted.
Is restricted cash.
And technically, we need 3 months of cash through IPNR to operate the business.
Mm.
And we know 6 million will get us just past a month.
2 months. 2 months. Okay, now, councillor Hayes, are you happy to close debate there?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Good. Oh, now I've got statement of investments for January. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hardwick, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Hardwick,
Oh, fine, thank you.
fine. Any discussion?
Only to note that it's gone up by $3 million from when I mentioned it just 5 minutes ago.
With a good mum.
There
Gonna
goes
be
our
better
loan.
Next one.
Yeah.
Interest upon
I think I'll agree.
Thank you, councillors. All those in favour? Unanimous. Yeah, HumeLink project update number 5, and that is just voting the project update that's been sent around to everyone, moved by councillor Thompson, seconded by councillor Sheldon. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are issues in here. It's a very, very, very comprehensive report, and I thank the author of the report for this. What does concern me is page 98 of this report. The issue of water, again, was brought up at the Buck meeting in Batlow. They're very concerned about the impact on the water. And I would just like to note that within here, it states very, very clearly that if there's an abnormal demand events, which include declared drought conditions and level 3 water restrictions or above, then the first priority of all water goes to the residents of the communities, and that's when HumeLink East and West no longer can access the water, if I understand that correctly. Part of the discussion is, and it's probably something which needs to be noted, that apart from the issue of water, particularly in Batlow, they're experiencing incredibly difficult times being able to access their mobile data, because with the increased number of people in the area, they are having issues with even being able to petrol station, because you can't use your phone, you can't pay, you can't do things. So it's an issue that, again, state and federal government don't stop to think when they come into a community for these projects, that the impact on the mobile data impacts significantly people who live there and endeavour to undertake business there, because they cannot utilise payment and electronics. So I did want to raise that, and thank the author also for the all of the water information, and if that could actually maybe go to Batlow to be sent out for. I know it's in the business paper, but they are very concerned about the water and the impact.
It's causing a lot of
that.
anxiety.
Yeah.
Councillor Hayes?
Just clarification, are they requesting they go on level 3 water?
No, it's just in there saying.
The other one was, I thought at the camp, they put a cow out at the camp.
They have,
They have. So.
but the cow doesn't work over Batlow. The cow doesn't extend as far as Batlow. Out at the camp, when we went there for a tour, it was by far not a trouble.
Yeah, so it may not be the Transgrid people in Batlow, it might, or the camp, it might be tourists, or it could be pickers, or it could be dinners, or it could be.
Well, the general manager and I are meeting with Christina from Telstra in the next week, and it's a really good point we'll bring up with her.
I think.
Well, they're getting the blame for it anyway. Transgrid are getting the blame.
No, well, Joe McGurr has taken it on board, and there's a gentleman, Eddie, I don't know his last name, who had a lot of information on it, but even things like being able to access digital TV and is incredibly difficult. The other point that was raised, that whether you 13 million or 15 million, there was a lot of conjecture of that. $11 million was actually specifically targeted to communications.
I have a problem with
that statistic.
Yeah, well, it's actually $9 million going into improving connectivity, because I think with, Starlink these days and things like that, I think $9 million going into all the projects that people wanted would just be such a better asset, and a better asset for, because when you drive along the road and suddenly you've got connectivity, you don't go, oh, thank you, Transgrid. But when you get accommodation in Adelong for your caravan park, then you're going to say thank you, Transgrid. So we've talked to Alec Brown about it. I think we should go back and just say to him again, please, you've got all these projects that we really wanted funded. Wouldn't it be better to do that? And the connectivity, it's just evolving so quickly. Yeah.
What percentage of that connectivity is actually
For the
only
community.
for the project itself?
Yes, we don't know.
It's cynical.
Makes me
But it-
very, very cynical.
Dead right.
But specifically on my
So well, you'd have it up, finish with it.
there was significant discussion by people, much more than some of us sitting at the table. And the issue was raised, it was pointed out what was supposed to be for community benefit, the majority of it. And as I said, there was discussion, was it 13 or was it 15 million? Was it 9 million or 11 for the communications? But that was done with absolutely no consultation with the community. That was just Transgrid or HumeLink's decision to spend it on that because that's what they felt they needed, not necessarily what was going to benefit the community, and it's not benefiting the community at all.
Thank you. Yes, councillor Larder.
I'm not sure whether we've got it somewhere, but if we haven't, can we get it? The arrangements that are in place for the road funding.
Oh, yeah, to the Director of Infrastructure and Works. That's not a problem.
I'll have to check with the general manager, the actual agreements.
A copy of the agreement.
I think councillors should know what the arrangements are in relation to the caps or whatever's been negotiated.
We approved it.
I thought that was presented.
I think it was
We
presented.
We have
We
presented
resolved
the
it.
terms, and the financial amounts have been disclosed in QBR, so yeah, let me have a think, it shouldn't be a problem. But it is a confidential document, not being distributed, but yeah, just let me have a think.
Just a question on the water. So the water stations in Adelong, where the big water truck
And Tumbarumba.
and
Yep.
come around, and then they've got a swipe card or something.
Yep.
And then they're charged at $2.95 a kiloliter or whatever it is. That's the same price as if I called up and paid.
Yes.
They're not getting a special deal.
No.
I'm not getting a raw deal.
No,
I'm getting potable.
everyone, depends what you
Yours
pay
is
for.
potable.
Green's potable, blue's raw.
So is there raw water in Tumbarumba and
There,
that low?
yeah, there is a potable and raw, I believe, in Tumba. There's a potable and raw in Batlow, and I think there's only raw in
Only
Adelong,
raw in Adelong because it comes from Tumut.
and there's only raw in Tumut.
Right.
As well,
No.
in Elm Drive.
Only raw in, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
No,
not
they go-
potable.
No, they go to the depot. It says in here they can get potable from the depot.
If they come to the depot, but the one on Elm Drive is a raw water.
Yeah, but
Which
it
is a public one.
states in here there's potable.
Okay, well, that clears that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there has been a person in Batlow who keeps going, why didn't we charge them more?
Well, we're going to bring to council as part of, through you, Madam Mayor, the fees and charges, where we're going to introduce a commercial water use rate for users who use over 15,000 kilolitres of water in 12 months' time.
Excellent.
So, and there's a few of those, there's a few different users. It's not just HumeLink West. Transport for New South Wales use a ton of water. Council uses a ton of water. Southern Cross Forests, Forestry Corps. There's a number of people on the list here that are in that $15,000 plus threshold
I just think
category.
of all the concrete that's
So
going to be
say-
made.
Thank you very much for using
That's one.
a lot of water. We're going to charge you more.
To discourage you from using more.
We're selling it. We want them to use more, surely.
Yeah,
Surely
but
this
we're-
is the discussion for fees and
We're
charges.
increasing the rate, so yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get more money.
Just a quick question, is the Batlow water supply whole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
It increased over last weekend.
oh, okay. Thank you.
And councillors, just so you know that Dr. Joe McGurr, our local member for Wagga, is working very hard to get our community payments that we're asking for, which is $10,000 per kilometre per year. We want it not for 20 years, for the life of the power lines. And he's working hard to get that legislation changed. So that would bring us $1.3 million into our council that we could bring back, you know, library hours and pool hours and grants and things like that. So if you have any, see Dr. Joe McGurk, just tell him he's doing a great job, and let's hope we can get it done.
So, Madam Mayor, just one more question to the Director of Infrastructure on page 94. The report, just in relation to the road condition and maintenance programs that are there. And we are aware that we have received correspondence from residents out on the eastern side. So has there been work, and I realise that there's no rain, but if the roads are in a really poor condition, have we undertaken works on those roads anyway?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, we have, but as I said, some of the unsealed roads
Yep.
that are there are denominated as the unsealed.
Yep.
We haven't really been able to do that because it's too dry.
So it's getting increased traffic, doing more damage, and the residents are still having to try and rock over it.
That's right, at this point in time, because if we did that work now, it'd come undone within a number of days, and they'd be rock hopping over it in a number of days because it's too
Yeah.
dry. We can't compact these roads because the conditions are too dry. It's loose material.
Can I suggest that once we can get in there and do something, we do make an effort to make amends for what they've been putting up with, because,
We're very aware of Wee Jasper Road.
thank you.
And
Is,
councillors,
just to-
some councillors are going to Adaminaby next week, just so you're aware of that.
Adaminaby.
Can Coburn?
Billy?
Adjabilly, Adjabilly, Adjabilly tour. Okay, well, just had to wake you up.
It's
Yeah.
close.
Councillor
Either end of
Rhodes.
the scale.
Stand with the fish.
They both start with an A and end with a Y. Just a question with the Wee Jasper Road, is that a similar thing where the condition will be compared to when their work started and finished, and they'll be made to bring the condition back up to the quality that it was when they?
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's correct. So if we're delayed now in doing any maintenance works, we've still got years to go on the project. That road, Wee Jasper Road, will have to be returned to council in the condition it was 2 years before.
Poor to start with.
And
It wasn't great, but they've still, what they're doing at the moment, they're updating their dilapidation reports, which they have to do for us on all of these roads. They have to do that every 12 months. And the dilapidation reports come back and say whether the roads are in the same condition that they were 12 months ago or not. So I'll be very interested to see what comes back in their dilapidation reports, which are due at the end of this month.
Okay. We're back to councillor Thompson. Are you happy? Close
I'm done.
discussion. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Tumut Aerodrome upgrade, official opening event that we're looking at Saturday, the 21st of March. We've got 3 recommendations there. Do I have a mover? Councillor Larder, seconded by councillor Wirtz. Councillor Larder.
It's been handed around.
Well, I'd just like to say that this is a great outcome for the community, and it's something that we've all worked very hard to get for a number of years. I just hope that we can build upon it and get that extra land further down the runway to extend things even further.
Do our next upgrade.
But there's a real opportunity at the airport for commercial activity, and as I've said previously, I think it would be very good if we could speak with the RFS about asking them to move their non-essential aviation activities to the side so that we can better utilise the commercial space. That's something that I think would be very sensible for us to do from a commercial perspective. I think this would be a great community event on the 21st.
21st, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that Mr. Mitchell has been very involved in undertaking this to make sure that it's a success and the local media, et cetera, taking part, and we'll also be lucky to have local display there as well. So the True North Helicopter Company will be putting on a display as well as
And they're doing that voluntarily, aren't they?
a aerobatic display from former RAAF squadron leader Derek Fox. And that'll be down to 500 feet. So that'll be something to really behold out there. And for those aviation enthusiasts that would like to see that, I encourage them to come out and be part of a really, really good day.
I'll seek some clarification, please, Madam Mayor. I wasn't aware that this was being planned for now, because no date were actually mentioned in any of the previous Aerodrome Committee meetings. It was, I think, a suggestion in November that there be an official opening. The timeframe turned around, because if we don't approve this today, then it can't happen by the 21st of March. There's the talk of $10,000, and yet in the report on page 115, I think it is, it already identifies that we have requested that the $10,000 be used from the BLURF funding, and we received information it is not classified as an eligible expense. So $10,000 is a figure that is put there that identifies it for traffic control, parking, advertising, invitations, PA systems. But we don't actually have a breakdown of what the $10,000 is actually covering, and where does that $10,000 come from if it's not coming out of the grant itself. So I get what Councillor Ladd is saying about it being a wonderful community event, and I'm really incredibly grateful that the number of people who are prepared to put in the volunteer hours. I'm concerned, after what Councillor Sheldon said a couple of reports earlier, is we just need to be mindful of the money that we're spending and understanding where and what it's actually going to be spent on, because nothing in the report, and I go even back to the back where it's supposed to identify the financial and resources implications, just says that council staff have costed that the opening event would cost $10,000 in terms of activities that council is responsible for. But it doesn't identify where that funding would come from should we not get approval, which we already haven't had. So maybe if somebody could just clarify for me is how did we come up with $10,000, and where's the money going to come from if it's not approved?
Thank you to the Director of Infrastructure and Works.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's correct, we contacted the funding body to see if we could fund the event using the grant funding that we've received, because there may be some left over. And yes, the answer we received was effectively no. And that's why we've got as a recommendation here that we write to both ministers who are responsible for overseeing this grant and asking them if they would possibly waive that ineligibility criteria. I can't say I'm confident one way or the other, but if they don't waive that, then the estimated $10,000 that it would cost council is something we would have to look at in our current events operating budget, and how much we could also do ourselves in terms of being in kind. So we may have to ask council staff to do all the traffic control out there rather than get a company to do it. And we may have to ask for reduced rates on other things and supply the PA systems ourselves, which we have, and do a lot of the legwork ourselves through our own operating budget. So it would be disappointing if the minister or we didn't get the money from the grant to fund this event, which is a $12.5 million upgrade of this significant infrastructure. And it's something that we would have to look at in our own operating budget if they didn't come up with the $10,000.
And we are under budget, aren't we?
Yes.
Can I also ask why the date of March 21st, if we couldn't bring it to council and discuss why was the date the 21st of March decided if we didn't have the opportunity as a council to work with this and understand and to be able to get a response and understand? You're asking us to allocate $10,000 that we don't know.
Just
Councillor
curious,
Wirtz.
just a clarification on how much we are under budget, roughly, is it approximation?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I might just answer Councillor Thompson's question first about the date. We sat down with our communications team, and the other dates between now and between really winter, there's a whole lot of other community events on across the LGA on weekends, rodeo shows, a whole lot of, and this seemed to be the only weekend that was free on a Saturday. So that's why that date was chosen. It also came down to the availability of some of the people who are doing these aerobatic displays and when they're available to do it. So that's where the date came from, as being one of the few available dates where there seems to be some free time in the calendar, basically the community calendar. Through you again, Madam Mayor, to councillors, we could easily cover that cost in the savings that was made on the project. I can't really tell you exactly how much, but we could easily cover that cost.
Okay.
I'm sure there might be a bit of fat left in private works profit as well.
Seeing they're doing the job, possibly.
Councillor Sheldon?
You know where I'm coming from.
Clarification though, the $10,000, even though it's saving, it's not been granted to be used on the celebration.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's why we're going to the ministers to see
Again.
if we can possibly override that decision.
Okay,
Particularly since it's as a result of a bushfire and it's come out of that, I think, with a strong.
Well, and also the funding agreement has 4 or 5 pages on what an opening event should entail. Or this particular,
yeah,
but then the little one-liner at the bottom of it is that it can't be funded from the grant. It seems a bit disingenuous that you have all these conditions and terms about holding an event, but then you're not allowed to use the grant funding to pay for it.
might have a chat to Christy Bapang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Latta, are you happy if we close debate? All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now the Tumbarumba Sports Academy request for a half-course Tumbarumba Sports Stadium, and thank you to the councillors who took the time to go and meet with the Sports Academy and look at this. We now have 2 recommendations. Do I have a mover? Councillor Latta, seconded by Councillor Hayes. Councillor Latta? No. Okay. Any comments, discussion?
No, good idea.
Yep. All those in favour? Unanimous. Well done. Eight. 12.4, classify land purchase adjacent to the Tumut Aerodrome, Bombali, New South Wales. Two recommendations there, moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Latta. Councillor Thompson.
It makes sense, Madam Mayor, it's necessary.
Yep. No other discussion?
Not really an option.
All those in favour? Thompson and Latta.
Yeah, there's just a small minor
minor,
correction to the DP number.
yeah, but one of the ones comes out.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep.
Now we're going to the minutes of committee meetings, 13.1 minutes of the ARIC committee. We've got one recommendation, moved by Councillor Packard, seconded by Councillor Sheldon. Councillor Packard.
I don't think there's anything to say, and the chair of the ARIC was here the other day to talk to council.
How excellent.
Yeah, and I think we should just comment on what a great chair we do have in Kylie. She does a really good job.
Just Councillor Sheldon's asked if he could come along and observe.
Yes.
Is that allowable
Yep.
to have an additional councillor?
He said so the other
Yeah.
day.
Yes,
I saw the evil eye.
yeah, fine. That was on camera.
No
Okay.
recordings.
So, so
The
councillor,
right way?
no, it's the wrong way.
The other
But,
way.
yeah, councillor Packard, you happy?
Yeah.
General day? Yep. All those in favour? Okay, 13.2, Youth Council Committee report. Councillor Wirtz, seconded by councillor Hardwick. Councillor Wirtz, tell us what's happening.
Youth council are putting on a Starry Night Ball
Yeah,
at the Pub Tumut. It's on April, remember this now?
21st.
I put it in my diary.
Yeah.
Because you want us there, don't you?
I think it might be well, we actually do need,
Numbers.
Security?
no, chaperones. But it should be a great event. There's going to be live music. There's going to be a king and queen of the ball. There's going to be some great decorations, and it's for ages between 16 and 24. Hence why we need chaperones. But there's going to be buses from Batlow, Tumbarumba, I think Adelong as well. So it should be a really
Should we
great.
get Gundagai? Should we get Gundagai involved?
Yeah, I think we did mention Gundagai in the meeting, so it might be good to
I can pay
include
for
them in
it.
It was such a great thing to turn up on Facebook page.
Yeah, so tickets are going to be available soon. They're going to be putting out the posters, so I'm sure they'll sell fast. So if anyone's
How many can you accommodate?
150, I think, is the
Not so
maximum
many, is it?
in the.
It's a big price. I just wondered how many kids have $65 if they don't.
I think no, it's
$45.
$45 early bird, so-
$65.
and that includes food. There's going to be
And non.
canapes, drinks, and also there's going to be a cake. So
There's the price.
yeah,
What date is it?
Is it the 21st of
What
April?
was it, 18th, wasn't it, 18th of April?
question
Yeah,
we're doing.
I think it's-
Message that I was asked was if I was available on the 18th.
I think it's the 18th of April.
I don't know.
It's Saturday.
That makes sense, eh? Councillor Sheldon, you got something?
How many people do we have in the youth council?
Great.
There's
Kids.
it is the 18th of April. The ball is on. There's 3 members on the youth council. I'm just the delegate.
Saturday?
There was some members.
Excuse the laughing in the background, councillor Wirtz.
That's all right, councillor Sheldon. There was some members from Tumbarumba, but they weren't attending the meeting, so they I guess they became non-members. So yeah, we have been trying to promote.
I was actually going to
Yes.
suggest that, would these be at prime time, like for the youth council, because of the de-amalgamation,
The ball.
to try and see if they want to set up the youth council up there?
I think they might already have. They might already have a youth
But
organisation
they've had a very active one in past time.
for the.
We don't need it.
Currently,
Thank
there
you,
is
Madam Mayor.
quite an active youth organisation up there. Madam Mayor, you might have more information about that, whether they
Yeah.
want to incorporate that with council to,
Exactly.
yeah,
We won't complicate things.
Yeah.
I just think it's such a positive thing. Well done.
Can I just?
yeah. And I'm hoping we can get people from all across
Yeah.
the area.
Can I just
It's
ask a
gonna be
question?
for-
I'm,
It's going to be for the youth council or for geriatric?
Councillor Thompson? Councillor Sheldon, Councillor Thompson's got the floor.
having your own conversation. And I'm surprised councillor Sheldon hasn't raised it. So the costing for the event, where is the money coming from for the buses? I thought it was a DJ, or is it,
There's a DJ, yeah, yeah. there's
so
music.
it's not live music?
No, no, it's not live music.
Yeah.
It's just music.
So where's the funding being generated?
So there's funding through, obviously, we've been trying to raise funds through, we've had obviously like a store at different community events where we've been selling lolly bags and, different drinks and things like that. Hasn't been too successful. So yeah, the funding will be coming from the ticket sales. So that's why we need to make a minimum amount of ticket sales for that event so that we can cover the costs of the event. So we have budgeted, I think sort of aiming for 80 tickets to be sold.
And the
That's-
bus, because the buses.
The
were
buses-
hugely expensive.
Well, I
I
think
can clarify as well.
I haven't quite, I don't know the exact cost of the buses, but they haven't been as expensive as
Just to clarify, there is a youth council committee sort of budget
there's a budget, yeah.
as well that's been allocated, which hasn't really been spent as
No.
yet, so.
I think there's some funds there allocated from that budget, but we're also trying to make sure that we can cover the costs through the ticket sales of for the event, so.
So councillor Works and councillor Hardwick, is there, scholarship's the wrong word, but is there going to be an opportunity for people who would like to come but just financially can't afford it? Is there something we could think about?
Yeah, I'm sure there'd be something can be
Yeah.
arranged if, you know, perhaps if there's some kids who want to come to the event or, some people, some youth, they want to join the youth council, you know, that's probably a
Then they
quick
get-
way to get a free entry if you want to help out, set up the event and decorate. There's, we're sure there's going to be lots of jobs there, so.
Right.
Also, sorry to clarify, I think the committee also discussed applying for grant funding. I think there's some grant funding coming out for New South Wales Youth Week as well.
Yes, it is
So-
going to be during the youth week, so
Yeah.
there'll be some.
Yeah, so we should be eligible
Yeah.
for grant funding.
Thank you. Excellent.
Okay, so that was moved by councillor Works, seconded by councillor Hardwick. All those in favour?
I didn't mention it. We're having-
Taking photos.
Councillor Hardwick is going to be doing photography for the night.
Absolutely. Does he get a free
Free
ticket?
of charge. He's
Yep.
getting it.
Are
And
you over 24?
Okay, all those in favour? Yes. Thank you very much. Councillors, we will now go into confidential,
Move that we're going to confidential.
moved by
I'll second that.
councillor Hobson, seconded by councillor Sheldon. Where councillors participate in meetings remotely by audio visual link, they continue to be obliged. I don't need to read that. We don't have any councillors